and then we'll see at the end. So thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. Melissa Dagne, I think I've met almost everyone in some capacity, even if it's just through email, but I am an instructional designer by trade. And I joined UIW back in October 1st. So I'm hitting my 6-month anniversary is tomorrow. It feels like it was 2 weeks ago. It's really flying by. And
I feel like you have always been here.
really?
Yes.
I don't know if that's good.
Well, me either.
You know, I've learned that higher ed is just almost, we've got such similarities across the board. We do things differently, but we do things kind of, I mean, it's all a familiar feeling. So maybe I just blend it in because I've been doing it so long. But okay, so I've shared my screen. And I have to ask the dreaded question, can you see my screen? Because my green box went away. And that's usually my indicator that everything's working, but now
Yeah, you can see it.
Okay, great. So I've got the schedule pulled up. I just want to let you guys know PT is scheduled on Wednesdays at 3 because it seems like it might be a good time for some people, not good for everyone. But again, I'm recording it, even though I might not put it public on YouTube, I have it to share. And then you're welcome to come to any of the other school sessions. They're not really school focused as much as the sample course that I'm showing for the demo is from that school. So I talk about the same concepts in Canvas, but I do show different content and have some different examples. This one though, obviously is going to be a little bit different. So even though I will be recommending the same processes to everyone, I feel like PT has the most experience in using the system, so I may not have to tell everyone everything in detail as much. So if I am not on track with something you need to know, don't hesitate to stop and ask me questions. Please interrupt, informal, and I've also got the chat open in case you would like to post there. So I see Kathy has a comment, exposure doesn't equal competence. And, you know, I'm going to say, it's funny, one of my notes right here is mindset and how, you know, this is really a lesson in unlearning Blackboard. And it is almost impossible to memorize everything you're going to want to do. So I do like to start off this session with some background. So I've shared the schedule here by email. I'll send a follow-up after this session. So if you've lost it, you'll get it again. But you can use the Zoom link to go to any of them. And they're going to be going on each week. And then I'm going to hop over here and we're going to sort of overview this process that we're going to be talking about so that maybe you can think about, oh, you know, in the week 2 session, I've got these questions and sort of frame your plan. And then I'm also going to show you some help information. So I like to kick off with, where do you go to get answers that you might need? Well, we've got this great Canvas page, the links in the chat. Definitely has answers to most things you're going to want to know, but it's also going to have other stuff like how to get a sandbox, how to get consultations, you know, that we've got support, you know, with Canvas any time of day. So right here in your global navigation menu, you can click help and you can find the guides and the hotline to call or to chat. So I know how you guys work, right? It's 9:30. You've got some free time, you sit down, you're like, I'm just going to build this assignment, and you run into some trouble. They're there to answer the phone for you. Absolutely. I also check email probably too much. So, you know, I will try to answer, but I also try to, you know, give myself time to not answer. So they're there for us, thankfully. And then sometimes during the day, if you're looking for help during office hours, if someone's in a meeting and they can't get back to you for a little while and you just need to be, you know, moving along, they're at least there to answer and be able to get you on your way. So don't hesitate to give them a call. Okay, so those are the couple of options for getting help. I just wanted to remind everyone, and then I'm going to pull this overview back up. So when I came to UIW, I had the privilege of putting together PT courses, and John Whitney, our one and only, he did a lot to help me. So we got to work closely together right away and get things going for the spring semester. But that also created sort of a deficit on what in the world did I do with those courses and how did they get to the way they were for the people who are going into summer and needing to build their own. So that's kind of the point of this series, is how to unveil that process. This today is just going to kind of go over everything, get our bearings. I'll answer all your questions and sort of get you off on the right foot. Then the second session in week 2, I'm going to talk about organization and settings and sort of that the back end taking care of business, that I really do believe if you do that first and you do that well, you'll be set for the rest of the semester that you're teaching. The third week is going to be talking about editing and building the content areas. And that's like, what do I do with my PowerPoints and how do I get a video? And, you know, where do I tell students information and sort of how to just use all of those options. The fourth week, I'll talk about graded assignments so that you can do discussions that can be graded. You can do regular assignments where they maybe do something and turn it in, or maybe they don't and you just need to put a grade. And then quizzes, of course, how to build them and all of that good stuff. And then of course, how making graded assignments builds your grade book in Canvas. So that's a really big concept and super important. Week 5, I'll talk about modules and structure. So I really think that it's very efficient to collect and gather and create your pieces. And then after you've done that, then you can kind of put them how you want them to be. So this is oftentimes takes less time than if you say, I'm going to go in and I'm going to build module 1 and I'm going to just do module 1 fully. You can quickly create the whole structure of a course and then just remember to go back and add the rest of the details. So that can help get you ready before May 10th if you're teaching for summer. And then the last one, finalizing and publishing. So you've got control over a lot of stuff. You are going to get to change the dates on when your course opens up to your students. You're going to have control over publishing not just files in the back end for when they can be released, but pieces within your course and also your entire course. So there's like a 3-tier publishing process. You can have a lot of control, and we'll talk about the settings for all of that. So if there aren't any questions, hi, Nathan. Okay that you're late. We have a small group. I was just letting everybody know this is informal. Please speak up if you have any questions along the way. And we are recording just in case somebody wants to refer back to this. So I am going to minimize this, and I've got 2 windows pulled up. On one side, I'm going to show you Blackboard, and on the other, I'm going to show you Canvas. And so tell me real quick, is anybody in this session not familiar with Canvas basics? Like this is your first time you've ever seen it? No, everybody's good. Okay, so just checking. I didn't want to make sure that I was speaking a foreign language. Okay, so for Blackboard, I have got pulled up Foundational Sciences 3, the master course with content in it from summer of 2020 last year. And I've taken a copy of this and I've put it into a demo course that's a Blackboard copy of it. So I'm going to open that up and we'll see side by side exactly what has come into it. So the announcements homepage in Blackboard is not exactly what a homepage is going to look like in Canvas. We've got more control and more creativity. So first we're going to talk about this Blackboard copy just a little bit, but then I'm going to show you the quality best practices on how UIW is hoping you will structure your course, which is going to be, the prettier version. But this is how it copies over straight from Blackboard, and it's just not very pretty. So all this stuff in announcements is actually in the announcements tab. So if I come over here, I'll be able to see this one-to-one. Obviously we all know Canvas looks a little cleaner, a little bit more updated, but you've got all the same announcements. So one of the things you'd have to do if you wanted to clean this up is delete everything that's old. And that's pretty tedious because you've got to check all the boxes of everything you want to delete and click delete. So keep that in mind, just mental note. You'd have to delete everything you don't want. And then I've got another process where you can avoid having to do that work if you so choose. So this is announcements. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to go to about your instructors, and this pulls up. And back on the home page, you probably noticed, takes a second for it to load, but you probably noticed that I had about your instructors here. So this information is now on a Canvas page. And once it loads, you can kind of see, oh, it looks fairly similar. It's just, you know, maybe formatted a little bit differently. And instead of editing each item that's on this page, everything is on one page and you get to edit everything together. So I feel like it cuts down on the number of things, but it may not come over looking exactly how you want it, and you're going to have to edit that. I find that it's faster to edit than it is to create from scratch, but I'm also going to show you how to start from scratch if that's what you choose to do. So I'm going to come back over here to home, and all of these icons with the little earmark, that's the icon for a page. So scrolling down, you can see I have a lot. So to see all of those pages, I'm going to click the pages link. And this is where I came in, and all of your stuff that you didn't need anymore because there was maybe duplicates or there was template materials. There was a lot of stuff people didn't need. I had to check mark and delete them. And so as you can tell, I'm gonna look at this whole, hold on one second. Should be able to tell. I think I have to look it up in the back end, but I could tell how many there are. In the last course I looked at, there was 119 pages, and the person probably really only needed maybe 30 of them. So that's a lot of deleting. Again, I'm going to show you the shortcut on if you don't want to do it that way, but you would want to basically go through here and maybe take a look. None of these are things that this person is going to need. Dr. Baines, you're not going to need this. So we're going to just select those, and we're going to be able to totally trash them and say delete. So there's going to be a lot of deleting if you choose to clean up your course. The next area we're going to take a look is opening up my menu. I'm going to go over to the files. So in the control panel, you might not have paid much attention to it, but all course content, oops, not that one.
And real quick, I mean, initially, whenever it's brought over just from a zip file in Blackboard, I've seen it to where it'll do an entire page in Canvas from like one sentence in Blackboard. It's just very messy, and so it's just all about how precise you want it. But just know that in the beginning, like it's a hodgepodge of everything from Blackboard.
Yeah, and I'm going to show you some examples of that too, just in just a sec. So this
I
is
have a question. I'm sorry.
absolutely
So
no.
I clearly don't have a previous course, right? But how would I go about copying a course from Blackboard to Canvas? That may be a dumb question, but I have no idea. Or do you do that for us?
We did it all for you. So
Okay.
yeah, the ITS team worked with the companies to move all of 2020. So on that Canvas page that was over here, the Blackboard migration schedule kind of gives you an idea of what to expect. Summer courses are already moved, so they're waiting. So if you're teaching in the summer, you don't see it because you probably were not the teacher back then. So that since you're new, you just need to either if you know who's teaching it, like let's say Amy Crocker's like, I am giving you my old course, then she would be able to put you in there and you could copy it. And really, it's up to you guys. If you don't have somebody who has access to it, then just email me and I'll help you. Okay, so basically the files section in Blackboard is very different. So when you uploaded something to Blackboard, it put it in the back and it made this collection of stuff. Well, in Canvas, the files section is a little bit different. You can share that with students or you can hide it from students. I recommend you hide it and you use it like Blackboard where it's just your stuff in the back end, and then you give them links to the things that you want them to see. but you do have the control to make that decision yourself. But you will see now that you're back here, you have a ton of stuff, and I'm going to control all and see 176 items on this top level. And some of these items might even, oh yeah, see, these are folders. So there's even more stuff inside those. And there's just a mess. And that's okay, because I'm going to tell you the best thing you can possibly do, and we're going to talk more about this next week, is you can move all of this stuff around and get it cleaned up. So don't worry, we'll get into some tips and tricks on how to actually manipulate and work with the mess. And I'm just going to keep going though, because there's a lot of top level things to talk about today. So files we will talk about more later, next week specifically. And then I'm going to come in and I'm going to show you, let's look at the semester cases. So your semester cases, that's pretty much where your main content's going to be. And right now, this home page is automatically set to your modules. And that's why I can go there to see it. That's why it says modules at the top. But I could also click the modules link and pull up the exact same information. So multiple ways to get to the same mess. Okay, so in here, if I scroll down, I'm going to see that there is week 7 through 8, case 20 sepsis, right here, this information. And I'm going to click this first one, and you're going to see it is this page became a page. So like the item itself created a page, and now you have pretty much something that probably doesn't need to be by itself. You can click next and see what's inside. So well, once it loads. So this first area at the top, that should be there, but it's not. So hold on one second. Let's go back and try to figure that out. Okay, so we're looking at 7 through 8, case 20 overview. So you can see how it's a little bit messy and there might be some things that are not in order or as useful as you want. So we'll kind of have to hunt those down. But let's say, for example, I don't find it. For whatever reason, if I'm looking, I'm not going to spend a lot of time doing that today, but I'm looking for this case 20 overview. It's not here, and I'm going to have to build a new piece. You are able to do that. You'd basically just want to save this image, upload it to your files, and put it exactly where you want. So you're going to want to look through and make sure that everything that you're looking for is there. Now, I'm not sure where.
I have a quick question. Because I didn't use the module setting when I used Blackboard, it looks like when that copies over into Canvas, it creates this messy version. Had I used modules, would it copy over the same way, or would it have copied over in a more clean? Because here it looks like it's just scattered everywhere.
So unfortunately, no, it wouldn't be any better. So learning modules in Blackboard and folders in Blackboard, the only thing Canvas knows what to do with them is to create their version of modules. And that includes the container of the module. It has the main title. And then inside of it, you either get, I'm looking for an example, you either get a subheader right here. Here's a subheader. And then the stuff that was in that. So what this is showing you is this, I can tell you over here, right here, you've got university policies and student resources. That's this level right here. That's the first folder. Inside that folder, there's going to be one item and another folder. And then inside that folder, there is all of this stuff on each of these things.
Got it.
Yeah, so that's sort of the conversation the two systems had, and it does kind of create a mess. So that's why I wanted to take the time to kind of show everybody, what you were seeing versus what you will see in Canvas, because just to get your bearings, otherwise it can be a little confusing.
So everything, I'm sorry. So everything we had in Blackboard as an item or a file comes across as a page.
Page and modules, yes. So the folder would be the module or the subheader, and the stuff would be on a page. So I'm still looking for that one page for that number 20, but I'll look back at it later. Okay, so that kind of gives you an idea of the main areas and how they kind of move over. The modules page then itself, and for this course, it's also the home. Everything that's in order down the page, that's creating the next and previous buttons in your course. So how you arrange is how people are going to see it. So I can drag and drop and put one before the other, and then the next button is going to take me in a different direction. So just like to give you a heads up, if you did anything in reverse order, because Blackboard would let you put things, you know, up the page instead of down, you don't want to do that in Canvas because it uses next and previous, and that's really disorienting to have to go backwards through a course to be able to go the right direction. This course doesn't have that, but some others, you know, everybody had control. You might find, so share with your friends if you know somebody who does that. So if I go to the bottom of the page and I clicked next, it's just going to basically take me through every single item that is in a module. And these can be pages, it can be assignments, it can be external links. You've got a whole variety of anything you want to add to a module, and it will take them through one at a time. So when you are putting your stuff together and you click the plus button, keep that in mind. You have all of these options for how you might want to add something. And we will get into the order of modules and structure during that week 5 session, just because you need to have some stuff organized before you decide how you want to make it maybe a little bit cleaner pathway for your students. Okay, so now that you kind of see that what Blackboard has, what Canvas will get, now I want to show you the 3 options you have for building a course coming up. And so I don't know if you took a look at the handout that I sent out about these sessions had the learning outcomes and a little after session homework blurb at the bottom of each of them. And what I've asked everybody to think about before next week is how you want to go about building your course. And that's because I'm going to come to the session and I'm going to basically ask everybody, okay, what's your plan? And then if everybody is going to do it a certain way, we can just focus on that. And if I've got a variety, then I can kind of hit the high points on each of them. So kind of be thinking about that. I'm going to show you each one of them now. So back on my dashboard, as you can see, I have a ton of tiles, lots of courses. Pretty much every health profession school got 3 samples, so I can walk through each of it with all of them. So I'm going to look at PTs. So today there is a course called a Faculty Sandbox. There's a course called the Blueprint. And then there's the Blackboard course that I was walking you through with all of the stuff. So looking at the Faculty Sandbox, this is an option. You can ask for a blank space and we will create one for you. You will be able to go in and you will be able to do anything you want. You will not have to look at any other stuff in your way, and you will just start from scratch. Once you've created something, then you will have the option to copy it into your actual course where you would want to use it with your students. So if you're feeling hesitant, or if you're feeling, you know, creative and you want to maybe try something, a new innovation of some sort that you're not real comfortable with, and you don't want to necessarily do it in a course with your students, get a sandbox, play around there, and then I can show you how to copy it. You can copy pieces and you can copy the whole thing. You've got both options. So that leads me to, if you're using a sandbox or you're cleaning up your Blackboard course. So those are, option 1 is a fresh build in a sandbox. And then option 3 being cleaning your Blackboard course, like the 2 hardest ones. Then there's the one in the middle. And the one in the middle is being a partial. You're going to clean up bits and pieces and you want to move them into your academic space. So week before last, or maybe last week, it's hard for me to keep track of time these days, but Banner created all of the course shells for the summer courses. They are ready, and if you are the instructor of record, you should be able to go into Canvas and see that shell already. And when you sign in, you saw some information that's already in it. That's called our blueprint. And our blueprint was a way to give all of UIW a starting point for some high quality pieces that are already formatted that you could then customize with your own content. Like you can change the banner to a different image, you can edit the page and change all of the wording, you can put your own video, etc. So I'm just gonna walk through this blueprint just a little bit to kind of show you around. We like to have a welcome page, which all the spring PT courses got, welcome page that kind of tells people what they can expect to learn in your course. If you have a minute and a half and want to watch this example one, she does a really great job of, kind of setting the stage and hooking students on why they want to learn about the elements of structures, which is not really something that was on my agenda, but it's a super catchy video. So it's one option for how you might want to go about getting your students excited. The bottom part's just how to get started. Here's what your blueprint contains. So you might change this around and say, students, here's the major components of our course, and you would edit to say like what you've got going on. And then the top 3 things that I want people to really just be directed to first and foremost. And that's going to be the syllabus, most important. Introducing yourself to the class, especially if we aren't face-to-face and you want to use a discussion board for that. And then this course orientation module. And it's just got all of that foundational information that students should get right away. So I'm going to just show you those things and some of the stuff that's in here. The course syllabus page is where you can put your document, because you always have your document syllabus, probably a schedule. If they're not combined, you can have the 2. But I have this one set to automatically let it preview on the page. And if you edit and you put a link to something and you click on that link, it says there's link options. I selected that and I just picked the preview inline and expand the preview by default. And that's how I made that happen when I clicked update, and that's why it shows. So definitely lots of little options to be able to control what happens in your course. On the bottom, there's a course summary. So the syllabus, just to give clarification, the syllabus in Canvas is a feature. It's not just like your document that you call your syllabus. It's a feature, and on that page, this course summary is automatically included unless you uncheck it to where it goes away. And everything in your course that has a date associated, a due date or a to-do date, or is on your calendar, because you can manually enter events, they will be listed on this course summary. So I'm going to hop over to the Blackboard one to show you what it looks like when there's lots of stuff. So that'll give you an idea of what you can expect. So for this one, so you can see here, all of these things all the way down the page, these are things that were built in Blackboard that came over, and the only thing they're missing is dates. So if they had dates associated with them, like let's say that 16.3 was due on April 1st at 11:59 p.m., that would populate. So what you put into all of your settings is going to tell the system stuff to do, and it will display it here automatically. It's very convenient for the students. And then on the home page, they will also see updates over in the right-hand side when they come into your course, waiting for it to launch for what's coming up based on those dates. So it's just time management, keeps people on track. So that's the course summary feature at the bottom there. Then if you go to announcements in the blueprint, there will be one placeholder announcement, and it will just give some sample text on sort of how you can welcome your students. So when I talked about you've got settings that you control and you might want to release your course early on a certain day, well, you can also come in and have your welcome announcement, which is what I did for all the spring PT courses. I came in and I said, I want to delay post, and I asked each person, when do you plan to open your course? Oh, Friday at 5 p.m. Okay. And then I just selected Friday and put in the time 5 p.m. And I saved those. And so automatically when the course opened up and the announcement went out, students got an email that said our course is ready, welcome, and they could sign in and they could go look around. So it's just another way you kind of automate some of the processes so that you don't have to think about them. I've had people in the past coming from UT Health that would do weekly summaries and weekly intros, and they would pre-write all of their welcome and what we wrapped up this week, because they already had their lessons planned out. They would just write all of those and then have the dates to release it automatically, and then they didn't have to think about it. So you can do that. You can write them on the fly. It's totally up to you. The modules page is going to have 2 modules included with your course. This one, most people in PT are not going to use it because you've already got most of your stuff all determined and it's pretty well set. So you can definitely ignore it. The top one might need some tweaking. You kind of got some of it, may not need all of it, and that's okay. You can unpublish if you don't want to use something and not show your students. You can possibly delete it and not have a problem, but we did run into a situation where sometimes Banner wants to put it back, but it was when you cleared out your whole course. So if you use the reset feature and wipe all this because you don't want it, you could create a problem where it tries to put it back, and then you'd have to deal with that. So just keep that in mind. So on each of these, it's pretty self-explanatory. Each page is what it says it is, and it's just got placeholder text. It's just waiting for you to come in and put your information there, or decide you don't need it because maybe you already have your own page like that built. Got one for pretty much everything, and I'm just clicking through to show you how it just goes to each one. You can put your own picture, you can use the words the way they are, you can change for the way maybe you had it in Blackboard and you just want to use that. It's all going to work out. So that pretty much shows you that there's going to be some stuff inside your academic shell. It won't be totally empty. So now what do you do when you want to possibly use the partial copy option 2 method, that sort of middle? I don't want to start from scratch and I don't want to clean up the whole mess. What do I do with that? Well, you're going to want to come to your academic space and you're going to want to come to settings. And you're going to say import course content. And you're going to find your course by saying copy a Canvas course and entering the name. So I'm entering SOPT demo. And I'm going to choose my Blackboard copy because that's where all my stuff is that I don't want to spend time cleaning up, but I want to move some pieces over because I want to save it. So I'm going to say select specific content. And then I'm going to potentially want to adjust events and due dates. And this is not necessarily the case. If none of your stuff has due dates, which is what we were just looking at, there was no due dates on that stuff, this doesn't matter and you don't need to do it at all. But if you look at your Blackboard course and there are dates associated in there, the way this works is you look at when course started last and ended last, and you put that here. So let's say I taught this last summer. I'm going to go back to the summer of 2020, and I'm going to put the first day of that course, and I'm going to put the last day of that course. Maybe it was 2 months long. I'm making this up. I really don't know, but let's just say, for example, the 26th. I'm going to say done. And then in the next 2, you're going to put what you're actually teaching this year. And let's say that instead of May 1st, it is actually going to be the 30th because it changed by 1 day. And then the end is actually going to be the 25th instead of the 26th. So what happens when you do this? Canvas is smart. It goes through and it adjusts all your due dates by exactly the difference of which you've entered them. And then you don't have to do that manually. So it's really nice, not necessarily going to be great for your Blackboard copy because of the mess. But when you do your course the next term, so after you're done teaching this summer and you want to get ready for the next year, you'll want to use that feature because it will update most everything for you. So I'm going to actually turn that off because I didn't want to use it since I verified I didn't have any dates. And I'm going to say import. And so now it's giving me another red button. And I don't know if you've noticed the theme, but everything is a red button that you want to do something. Red is like their action call. Depending on your layout, it comes in different colors, but always look for the red button. And then you've got an option of a place to pick and choose exactly what you want. So notice how I said the last course I looked at was 119. This one's actually 248 pages. So that's a lot to choose from and probably a lot you don't need. So when you click the arrow, it's going to expand and you're just going to get to pick and choose exactly what you want to keep and ignore everything else. And once you, so that might take you a good chunk of time. I would suggest do one at a time. So like, let's say you go over here, you look at your Blackboard copy. You say, oh, yep, I want to keep the course settings. Then you can select this box. And I want to keep the syllabus body, whatever was in the syllabus. Yeah, I want to keep that too. And then maybe look at your modules. Just choose your modules. Click select copy and let that do its thing. Go back and do course copy again, do selected content, and then maybe go through all of your assignments. And then let that run and then do the next piece. And it just might be because I don't know how much time you have to sit down and want to sit and pick through all of that. You could always break it down into chunks. But I definitely am a big fan of only moving over the stuff that you want to work with, because having built 10 courses for your school, and I cleaned up every Blackboard course. I didn't do this method, and it probably wouldn't have worked as well for me because I didn't know exactly what you wanted to keep or not. And that would have been a whole nother logistics, but I definitely think it would have saved time if I was the instructor looking at exactly what I already know that I want. So now that we've gotten to that, that's pretty much what we're going to be talking about for the next 5 weeks. I'm basically going to break down what you've got to do for each of those things. I hope that, you know, it's useful to you guys, but definitely want you to bring whatever questions you're trying to figure out along the way so that we can work together on that. And I will answer any questions you have for the rest of the time.
Can you show me how you got there your initially to copy over like partial course?
Absolutely. So I go into the course that doesn't have my stuff because I'm going to pull in information. So instead of going over here to the one that's full of stuff and pushing it out, I go to the empty place and I go to settings. It's always going to be at the bottom of the course menu. It never moves. It stays there no matter what you do. Your students will never see it. It's just basically the power button. Go to settings, it's going to pop up this page. You'll notice along the top, one of the features of Canvas is tabs. So you always have more options to look for, kind of a feature of the system to keep in mind. And then you've always got additional menus. So the right-hand side of the page is usually got some extra stuff there. And so over here are my buttons, and I chose import course content. And then at the top, I said the type is a copy of Canvas course. And then I searched for the name of the course I wanted. And so if you're enrolled in multiple courses, you'll have things that come up. If you're not enrolled in them, you won't see anything. So that leads to, how do you see what courses you're enrolled? Well, over here, I showed you my dashboard, but let's say I don't find what I need on my dashboard. That's not all my courses. I actually can go to the icon below and it's a little book and I can click courses. Then I see this big list and then I can click all courses and you'll see I'm enrolled in 5,000. No, just kidding. But so how you control the dashboard is this lovely orange star. You can just say, I want the tile or I don't. And that's how your dashboard's created. So if you don't see it on your dashboard, just head over to all courses. And these are all the options that I would technically be able to copy from. Okay, great question. Keep going. What
Yeah,
else?
Earlier, maybe I misheard you.
Uh-oh.
I thought you had said that you were going to be copying the Blackboard courses into this.
So
But
you're
then you're showing us how to do that. So do we copy it ourselves, or are you bringing it forward?
So you have a copy of your Blackboard, your summer Blackboard course. You already should have a copy of it in Canvas waiting for you. And it's a mess. And it's a mess of stuff that you probably don't want or need. And so we're going to be talking about how to clean that up and get it ready for your students. And you can either clean all of it up, or the second choice there that's a little easier is to go into your academic course that's fairly empty. It's got the blueprint components, and copy in the pieces from the Blackboard course that you want to keep and then just edit them. So really what I'm asking, so each week there's some sort of homework assignment of what you might want to pay attention to. And if you do what's going on each week, ideally you would be done with your course by May 10th. Now, a lot of people, I know especially with y'all's school, because I work so closely with you, a lot of you get the first couple of modules ready and then you kind of keep up with it as you go. My approach is going to be to show you how to get the structure in place so that you can do that and it won't be as bad. So ideally, I want my students to come into a class that looks complete, but I've kind of fudged it a little bit. Like it's only going to kind of be complete. It's more like a skeleton, and then the details you'll be able to go back and fill in as you go.
So this is helpful because we're also going through a curricular shift in this summer semester where their cases are being reordered. And so the cases are actually housed in multiple Blackboard courses. So as long as we are an instructor of record for that Blackboard course that got copied over, then we should be able to go and select that course. For example, Kathy's teaching a class right now. I need 3 of those modules to move over to this summer semester. So the best approach would be to go into that Blackboard course or go into my empty shell and then find the Blackboard copy, select the modules of the cases that need to be moved over and get them over, and then clean up based on my new formatting.
Absolutely. And so I actually had to do this for several of the courses. So those curricular changes were happening for spring already. I think it was 1 or 2. I can't remember exactly. I feel like it was 2 because they're like partners, right? Like you've got the second and the fifths, and yeah. So I feel like I did it twice. I think the easiest way is to use sort of a combination of approaches where I would go into a blank sandbox and I would copy out that stuff from the other course. So there's nothing else with it. And that makes it super easy for you to check to make sure it's all there and you're not missing anything. And then once you've verified, oh, good, that's all of it, then you can move it a second time into your actual course to merge them. So that helped me immensely because it was sort of, mind-boggling to try to figure out like, okay, did I get it all? Am I missing something? And I wasn't the teacher, so I wasn't really sure. And you'll probably feel that same sense of, being disoriented because you've not necessarily had that content before.
Yeah, and I just realized actually Kathy's got it already in Canvas. So, and it's already formulated and already edited to the way it should be. Okay, I'm on the right page now. I just mixed myself up.
Yeah, we'll just need to copy those modules from the FS5 Canvas into the new summer Canvas, and just make sure that the organization of the
matches of the new course. Yes.
This is a great time to show you that there's also another way. So I've already showed you a couple of ways of how you can manage this process, but if per se, like, let's just say Kathy's like, oh, I need to give Mona this module right here. It's ready to go. She can come and say copy to. And if you've let her in your space, she can send it to you. So you guys can really collaborate in a number of ways, or you can come into her course and you could send it to yourself. So definitely the colleague role in Canvas is perfect for this. someone who wants to manipulate with and play with your content, but isn't, teaching. So use the colleague role. You won't get any of the updates of things that need to be graded and all of that stuff as if you were enrolled as a teacher. And that can, save you the hassle of lots of additional communications as well.
I have a question about the sandboxes.
Mhm.
So whenever I teach a course, inevitably there's something happens where I have to shift some content around for that semester, or I have to switch something from online to virtual only, or whatever. Things get moved around, like the snowpocalypse happens. And I was wondering, is it possible to maintain almost like a clean version of a course in a sandbox, like perpetually, so that I always have almost like a baseline course that I can revert back to every time I start?
Absolutely. So how I would recommend the best way to do that, first off, request the sandbox so you have the space. And to do
Can I have
that,
two?
Mhm.
Can I have two? Sandbox?
Adela, can I ask you kindly, do they have a limit?
No, there you can have as many sandboxes as you want.
I would have expected that to be the answer, but I didn't want to put my foot in my mouth. Okay, so yes, request your sandbox, and over on the Canvas website, there is a request a sandbox button, and that will generate an email, or you can just send an email to ITS, the Instructional Technology Services email, that works too. But yes, get the sandbox. Then once you have the sandbox, you are going to basically go to settings, and you're going to use the import course content, and you're going to copy your entire course. So you've built it, you're teaching it, right? You're going to come over here, you're going to say copy the course, you're going to find it, whatever it's called, and you're going to say, I want to do all content, every single bit of it. And you're going to say import. And it's going to make an exact copy minus student participation. So it's not going to handle your assignments that they've turned in. It's not going to have your grades. It's not going to have their information, but it is going to be an exact replica of your course. So then let's say snowpocalypse happens. You're like, I got to make changes. This copy is now no longer relevant and I want to do something different. You can either make those changes manually, which I don't know how much you want to make changes in 2 courses, or you can come back to settings and you can click reset my course content. And that will delete the entire thing and let you make another copy after you've made the changes. So you see how you can like channel different steps. If you want to have a copy of what it looked like to begin with, and then leave it alone. And then say have a second sandbox of the copy of after you've made the changes. You can keep different versions, however you want to self-manage that.
I was thinking, just because I teach 2 main courses, I was just thinking about having one sandbox for each one. That's kind of where that was coming from.
Yeah,
that's helpful.
So one thing you guys are going to need to keep in mind is that you will want, if you're teaching multiple sections, you're going to be cross-listing. And for the piloteers, this last term, it happened automatically, but in summer, it's not going to happen automatically. Too many teachers overruled that they did not want that feature. They like to teach separate courses when they have multiple sections. So I cover this topic. If you go to your dashboard at the very top under published courses, you were invited to attend this Canvas overview and resources training course. And I put this together as a place to just keep putting information, right? As I learn something new, I just have to have some place to keep up with it. And so I put these 12 topics that I felt like everybody kind of really needs to know. It's basically a 12-page booklet. And you might find this very useful, but what I talk about here is if you come to banner and enrollments, we talk about the different roles that you can enroll people. I was saying the colleague is a custom role here. Underneath this, there is also the 3-minute video to show you how to cross-list your sections into one course. So this is definitely going to be a resource you'll want to use. I also use the announcements in this course. You'll probably, if you accepted your enrollment, then you are getting emails when I post an announcement. And so I've just been, as something comes up, I get emailed a question that I think everyone would benefit from knowing the answer, or maybe my team tells me, hey, Banner's acting differently now. I wouldn't just go ahead and I post that for you guys so that everybody can see it, and then we can all have a place to refer back to it. So you get the email, but you don't necessarily have to read the email if you want to just hop over here sometimes when you're looking for stuff. Definitely trying my best to have all the ways to communicate because there's just a lot going on. So how do you read the entire announcement? You just click the title there and it shows you the whole thing.
When we go to combine the multiple sections in one, thank you, this is really helpful. In the process right now, I would just pick one of the sections. I always just pick one and build it, right? I don't need to be building it and then copy it over to the second and then merge it, right? I'm just building it in one and then merging.
Absolutely. So that's a really good question. I'm going to show you, I'm going into my administrator account so I can show you something. No, I picked people, but I didn't mean that. I'm going to choose courses and I'm going to pull up the PT courses just so I can talk to you through a real example. That would be DPT. My computer is deciding to be a little slow. Do I have to? I thought I had, maybe I had too much open, but I closed everything. So now it's just being weird. Okay, so I pulled up DPT and then I'm looking at the terms. I'm going to choose summer 2021. So I'm going to go down this list. I say I'm going to choose that. It's here somewhere. There we go. Okay, let that populate. Let me find you one. Okay, so here we go. We've got the self-reflection course. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 sections. Well, I mean, Amy, she might want to keep them separate because each individual person would be handling their own, right? So that would be one use case. So that may not be the best example, but for patient client management, there's 2 sections. I guarantee that, you know, the instructors are probably going to want to teach one course of that. So they will go into section 1 and they will actually add the second one to that. And then they will just be working in one space. And what that looks like is over here in settings, you takes a minute to load, in sections would have more than one. So it will say the section 1 and then the section 2 up to, I think one of yours had 13 sections this last time. I'm not sure. I don't remember exactly, but I think it was 13 was the max. So they'll just be listed down. And then whoever your students are that are enrolled in the first section, they stay enrolled in the first section. And whoever's enrolled in the second, same. And you can basically control, I only want to assign some stuff to these people, not everyone, or you can just do it for the whole class and function together. You have lots of options.
And it doesn't matter then when we do that merge or bringing them over. Like, is that step 1 when you're building your course? If you want them to do it from the get-go, or can you see what I'm saying? Because I'm building right now and I've got 2 foundational science, 1 and 2. And at some point I want them both as one. Does it matter when I do that?
Pick one and only build one. So you don't want to be building stuff in 2 different spaces and then try to merge them. No, you'll want to build in the one that you're going to make the main, and then you'll just, it doesn't
bring the other one over.
It doesn't matter when you pull the other one over, but you don't want to build content in both.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay, we're 5 minutes till 4, and I know some of you can't stay, but I am willing to answer questions if you do need to stay and solve any other mysteries. Otherwise, I will see you guys next Wednesday.
Thank you.
Absolutely, you're welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Bye, y'all.